guys, welcome back to Hear Me Out. I'm E.
I'm D.
And today we're going to take on a new series. Obviously, you guys know it's been a couple seasons. We cover the Kardashians episode by episode. We either love them or hate them, mostly hate them, But we're happy to report that we are going to start covering one of our favorite shows, which is The Real Housewives of Potomac. Leave comments. Let me know your favorite franchise. It has to be Potomac. And if it isn't, then it's definitely Beverly Hills because crazy. The more money you have, the crazier you are. I'm just saying.
Don't tell these people what their favorite franchise is.
I mean, well, we'll talk about it later, but we're going to start covering The Real Housewives of Potomac. We're going to do a season 7 recap, unless you guys really want 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go back there, but we'll just start with season 7 recap. We're going to talk about the trailer and obviously episode by episode because there's a lot to talk about. The new season, season 8. So there's a lot to talk about. These ladies here, I can't. But let's talk about the season 7 recap and all the nonsense that happened.
Okay, so right off the bat, I'm letting y'all know this isn't your typical like how we do Kardashians, where E has the play-by-play. I'm not that good at that. we gonna do what we gotta do here. So let's start off by saying this is probably one of their worst seasons. And like, I love Potomac. It's literally the only Real Housewives franchise I watch. But that was a terrible season. And it was not just like the spectacle of like the messiness and pettiness. It was just ugly and mean and just like not fun. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down by cast member. We'll discuss the cast member and the relating issues and see how this goes. I mean, if there's another way y'all want us to cover it, let us know. Okay, we're going to start off with, I guess you could call her the Courtney of the series.
I don't know who that is.
Well, Kim did call her the least interesting to look at. Robin Dixon.
Oh man, she's so pretty and she just has no foundation, I feel.
She's so beautiful, but there's just we'll see.
Substance.
Yes. We'll get into this. Okay, so Robin Dixon, right? Not only did she spent the whole season 7 talking about and planning the wedding and then undoing those plans and then going back to her original idea of getting married in Maryland. She also did not invite any of the cast members. At one point, she wasn't even going to invite her parents who literally were there for them during their whole bankruptcy situation. And then she changed it up again. Then only had her parents, her kids, and some randos at her intimate wedding to her husband for the second time, Juan Dixon. Anyway, meanwhile, drama was brewing behind the scenes, and Robin did not once discuss the allegations that her soon-to-be husband, for the second time, was involved with another woman for the second time. Instead, she
would add that she looked like Karen. According to Karen's description, every time they bring up that little sketch, it kills me. It kills me.
We'll talk about that. She did not want to discuss the allegations that her soon-to-be husband was involved with another woman. Instead, she waited for the show to be over so that she could do a Patreon episode of her and Giselle's podcast, which is, I think, called Relatively Shady or something like that. Reasonably shady. To discuss the rumors and allegations. Now, if y'all know, Patreon is basically a paid for service, a paid for subscription. So she got y'all's coins to talk about these allegations. Anyway, by the end of the season, Robin had gotten all into it with Karen Huger because Karen's confession to Ashley Darby that she knows all about Juan and his other woman, while Robin tried to deny it all on the show, yet she knew all along, supposedly, what Juan had been up to. And yes, going back to what E said, Karen claimed the woman looked like her. Okay, what do we think?
Well, I also want to add that Robin went to Watch What Happens Live with Andy, and Andy was not having it. He was so upset that Robin did not bring this up during the show. And Robin's excuse was, well, I thought Karen was going to bring it up. He wasn't having it. He was just drilling. Do you think Juan did it? And she's like, no. And then, there's like a different guest there, and she's just looking like, oh my God, like, girl, he's lying. But what do we think? First of all, I really want to talk to Andy. Because now, 8 seasons deep, she's an OG of
Yeah,
Potomac.
yeah.
Since we've known her, her only storyline is divorce from Juan
One
Dixon, bankruptcy, getting back together. Are y'all gonna get engaged? Y'all got engaged. When is the wedding? When is the wedding? When is the wedding? Kind of eloped, changed the plans. That's all that is to Robin. There's no more substance. I mean,
thing.
she was only relatable. I don't know what season it was, maybe 6 or 5 when it was like the pandemic.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think it's
And then
6.
she was talking about, her depression and things like that. That is the most relatable thing
Yeah.
that Robin has ever said, done for the people. Other than that, she has no business on the show. She doesn't contribute to anything.
So, aside from being known by the internet as Giselle's sidekick,
She
as part
is.
of the Green Eyed Bandits, as her road dog, her partner in crime, all that, Robin hasn't really had much outside of the Juan Dixon situation. She did during, I don't know if it was season 3 or 4, where she started her hat line. And I feel like they could have delved a little bit deeper into that. That's how she literally became a businesswoman. She got herself and her family into a better financial, shape because of the different things that she was doing. This is all things that we really could have found relatable. And instead, it was the constant, where's Juan? Why isn't Juan here? Are y'all getting married? Are y'all
Mm-mm.
ever really getting married? Oh, you're engaged. Okay. When's the wedding? Oh, where's the wedding going to be? And then, so it's like, I feel like it all just took away, even with the discussion on how Robin and Giselle started their podcast. There really hasn't been much, about it aside from like an episode where they had a live show and, only a certain amount of people showed up.
It was
And
still live. Don't hate.
it was. Listen, I'm not hating because we out here trying to do something and we're growing as well. But what I'm trying to say is that I feel like there just could have been a little bit more like, into what they're doing. And I don't know if maybe because it's them working on another show that's not Real Housewives, that probably why they don't really like discuss it all that much, or Bravo doesn't really want them to focus on it. But I feel like those are things that really could have made her a little bit more, interesting, like more relatable, have like a good storyline, aside from just all the antics that involve Giselle and her messiness. Like,
Yeah,
it sucks.
I already got a joke. Robin is the Robin to the Batman. I'm hilarious.
I should cut
But
this shit out.
just leave it in. It's funny. People, I know y'all find it funny. But they could do like similar to the Kardashians. We saw the behind the scenes of
Yeah.
Kim filming American Horror Stories. So we
Right.
could have been in their, business lives. I mean, Karen does a great job, and probably I'm trying to think of who else. I guess Candace and all of them, they do a great job at integrating what they're doing onto
Mhm.
the show because, obviously it's going to be a stream of income,
Yeah.
eyes on these things. So
Right.
I'm surprised that they haven't really like spoken about it so much. But then again, the Green
Yeah.
Eyed Bandits are very secretive, and I'm surprised the ladies don't press hard enough on them.
Yeah, that is literally like, we are, like you said, now with the 8th season being live, 8 seasons deep, and it literally is until this season that Robin is getting pushed back. And literally, like, obviously we're gonna discuss season 8, but like, part of what I've already seen is Giselle, poor Robin, the things Robin is going through. And it's like, okay, but y'all have been through these situations with the other women, the other ladies for the past 7 seasons. And at no point were you guys really like, oh, poor, Candace, poor Ashley. Like, no, it was like always some kind of pettiness, some kind of messiness. So
Mhm.
it's like hard for me to really like feel bad or see her as a victim because she knew this entire season, we're coming right now, season 7, what was supposedly going on. Mind you, she believes what Juan is telling her. And so yeah, like, now, okay, let's talk about the next lady. That's Karen Huger. So Karen, she continues to not really discuss anything personal of substance. um the season was mostly spent with the ladies bugging her about not wanting to have a relationship with Charisse, which I thought was annoying. And since nothing was really going on with Karen, the ladies brought back years old rumors that Karen was having affairs, which Ray, her husband, gives zero f's about, y'all. Like, none.
Mhm.
It was confusing why, she kept bugging Robin about her wedding throughout the season. Eventually, we find out that Karen has some tea about Juan and another woman, but even that turned into a fiasco because she claimed the other woman looked like her. And at that point, it was hard to take her serious. That was it with Karen.
I thought she was so funny in this season. I
Karen
feel
should
like
not be my favorite. Let me just say that. She's
Karen from season
hilarious.
1 that was very etiquette. Your knife goes on the left side,
The Grand
45-degree angle, grand dame,
Yeah,
to this Karen now that, she got some work done. She got some confidence.
she
She
sure did.
probably has booze, allegedly. This is a
Mhm.
whole, she's saucy.
She sure is.
Grand dame would never
No,
before.
no, no, no.
So she's kind of like one of my favorites.
She's
And I think
definitely my favorite.
there is storylines with her. At least there's like her and Giselle having a fight. Her and Charisse. There's always something kind of going on with Karen. Plus her
Yeah.
business, the 3 wicks, 4 wicks,
Oh gosh,
9 wicks.
stop. I can't even.
Then
I
she launched something else. What did she launch? A fragrance, was it?
I
Or
think it was a fragrance. Yeah,
oh, she was trying to copy Wendy, I think, or
that
when.
was the candles
Oh,
thing.
that was the candles.
Hmm.
I can't keep up with their business ventures at this point.
Yeah.
Karen, I think she's funny. She gets an A+ in my book.
Yes, but she also does not like to be pressed about anything personal. Like, I know we obviously see that often with Robin and Giselle, but Karen does not really talk about, these any of these things. And like, I think there's some stuff that just seems very superficial when it comes to her.
Mhm.
And so it's like, she, like, I feel like there's some stuff that just kind of doesn't make much sense, like the way she lashed out at Charisse about the whole thing with her mom's funeral. And then it was weird, like I didn't really understand, like it just felt like something more. There was something deeper there as far as like her issue with Charisse. And I really didn't understand the purpose of them bringing Charisse back aside from antagonizing Karen. Like, that's literally what it seemed like she was in that season for. So I feel like they could have done more with her. They could have really, like, I don't know, go again, deeper into like her business ventures and all that stuff. Like, there was one episode where she had her own live show and she called herself the Muhammad Ali of hosting.
I can't. And I
Ma'am.
think that this season they had like a lot of special effects. I don't know. I felt like I was watching. I know I'm gonna age myself. Like I was watching Batman from back in the day, where it was like the pow and the, like a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Like there was like a workout thing, or I don't know if I'm confusing it with season 8 already. And they have like like a video kind of thing, like from back
Yeah.
in the day.
Oh, that was from this season.
Oh, that was this season. But they're
Yeah.
doing great stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So, Karen, we love you. You're hilarious. You really are. But yeah, substance, girl, substance.
Wait, but one more point on Karen. I think she always flips out when she doesn't want to discuss something. Like
Yeah.
this conversation with the mom, it's very similar to what she had with Giselle. And I think it was like something she said about Ray. And Giselle's like, what did I say about Ray? She just takes it to the
To a
next
whole nother
level
level. Yeah.
for no
Yeah.
reason. I think that just her comprehension might not be there. I'm not trying to diss her, but it's just like, what are you mad at? Like,
Where
there's
did that come from? Yeah.
nothing to be mad about. Yeah.
Yeah. This is true. Well, speaking of Giselle, Miss Giselle Bryant, once again, another season where Giselle refuses to take what she dishes and has almost no personal storylines about her, despite the fact that at the end of the season, we find out that she had a serious health issue that plenty of women could have benefited from, just seeing it played out on the show. The most disturbing storyline involving Giselle did have, the whole situation between her and Candace Dillard's husband, Chris Bassett. Giselle made it a point to claim that Chris made her uncomfortable when he was alone in a room with her. I believe it was like right after the reunion of the past
Season
season.
6. Yeah.
Yeah. The situation apparently took place months before this season even started, season 7, and Giselle had made no mention of it to Chris or to Candace. Instead, she waited for the show to start filming to bring it up. Now, it's got to be a little bit of a ludicrous storyline when even her partner in crime, fellow Green Eyed Bandit, Robin, defended Chris instead of backing up Giselle. Throughout the whole season, Giselle claimed she was made to feel uncomfortable by Chris's actions, which she did admit that immediately upon her requesting that he open the door to the room they were alone in, he did open the door. So nothing unseemly occurred, but she claims that she did not like being put in a situation in which she was alone in a room with a married man. By the time she talked to Candace about it, all hell broke loose, and Candace wanted nothing to do with Giselle for the rest of the season. So, I have a lot of thoughts on this whole thing, but you go first.
I think Housewives is like, what, 18 episodes deep?
Yeah.
Right, 18, 20 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think they just need to condense it to 10. Giselle, first of all, she's shady as hell, but we know this already.
We know this, yeah.
She could have brought it up first episode, resolved by the second. This literally dragged on for like 10,000 years throughout the whole season. And something that peeves me is that they keep bringing up the same thing every episode.
Yep.
It just drives me crazy. Like, I don't understand why there's no resolution to this, and they keep rehashing it and getting mad again, and it escalates and de-escalates. Like, just cut the season, make it more concise, and we're not going to get bored, even though I'm still going to watch it all. To me, I like the drums.
Yeah.
But that's what's annoying about it. She's like nitpicking. She's like a little woodpecker, like the whole season. And then obviously with Robin there too, they tag team, and then that's what's going on the whole season.
Well, it was frustrating.
And she does it to deflect from her own life.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was frustrating to me because like I think we had one episode of her discussing like her twin's birthday or maybe something to do with school. I'm not sure what it was. Might have been their birthday.
I just 2016, I think.
Yeah. And that was about it. Jamal was there, but of course, her just basically saying great co-parents, blah, blah, blah. That was it. Nothing of substance. And it really was frustrating, the whole situation about Chris Bassett, because like I can understand if you felt uncomfortable. I can understand, you feel some kind of way or whatnot. But I feel like actions are really important in these sort of like scenarios. Like, did he do something, that made you feel so uncomfortable? Because if you guys are alone in a room, this is a 2-person thing. It's not like he said, let's go and be alone in a room, and she kind of insinuated at times that he like lured her or whatever, like, oh, he knew that my people were gone. Well, how would he know that if you didn't even know that, right? Like, you thought they were still there. So, and then on top of that, like, Chris Bassett has been one of the most like on camera husbands. Like, he has been there for Candace. He's cooked dinner for the ladies. Like, he's always very serviceable. Like, it was frustrating to see that, and I can understand his frustration and Candace as well. because he was made to look a certain way. And obviously, like, the ladies, they sign up for all this drama and all that, but usually the husbands are kind of like, on the outside of this. So it was really frustrating to see the way in which it was manipulated to make him look a particular way. And then, her calling him a sneaky link after the whole situation with Ashley was, like, again, a whole nother thing that you're just like adding fire to the flame. But not only that, it's inflammatory, because you are now accusing this man of things that have nothing to do with, like, who he really is.
And
um
he actually
so
also admitted nothing
yeah,
happened. So
right,
again, why didn't we squash it? Nothing happened. It was
yeah,
uncomfortable. Let's not be in that same situation and move on. Like, I don't
right,
understand why this dragged along. Like you said, sneaky link. She was trying to bring back that whole scenario again.
right.
Just uncalled for. She doesn't have an ounce of what's the word? It's not responsibility, but she doesn't care about
Accountability.
other people's relationships.
Oh,
Maybe it's
yeah, yeah,
because she doesn't have one of her own.
yeah,
It could be, but come on, all this inflammatory, all these allegations kind of
yeah,
things, like, it has to hurt a relationship, and she doesn't really think about that. But
yeah.
she cares about Robin, and we'll see that in season 8.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, she brought it up to Robin. All right, she ain't listening. She squashed it. We haven't heard about it since.
Yeah, and see, like, that's the thing that, okay, I understand that maybe you don't have the closest relationship with Candace like you do with Robin, but, you know, in the society, in the times that we live in, making allegations such as those is a very, very sensitive, like, topic. And especially if it has not, like, if it doesn't have, like, real foundation or basis. You get me? Like, it would be different if he was, like, flirting with her, if he was, like, just being inappropriate with her. And I'm not saying Giselle doesn't have a right to feel however she wants to feel. And I'm sure she did feel uncomfortable, but again, these are things that, like, Giselle doesn't bite her tongue ever. We know this. Why she couldn't have said something to him right then and there, like, "You're making me uncomfortable," or
Mhm.
why not even go to Candace right away? "Your husband made me uncomfortable." Giselle does not bite her tongue. This is like it. I can see why Candace would feel, and Chris, like, she held on to this until the new season started, because that meant more screen time for her. And it just feels like, once again, it's another storyline of Giselle stirring the pot and just making these, like, problematic situations for everybody else, while she is just like, well, I got nothing to do with this. Like, I said my piece, and she walks away. Like, no, ma'am, you literally started the fire and then you added more fuel. You can't just walk away from that. So, we do see, obviously, by the reunion, she apologizes to Chris for some of the comments that she made, but I mean, this was months and months later.
Yeah, but
So,
I think
I don't
also
know.
it's Bravo's fault because it
Yeah.
was the Giselle situation, and
Yeah.
then maybe you'll talk about it later with Ashley. Then she had her Sesame Street friend
Not the
talking about
Sesame
Happy
Street
Eddie,
friend.
talking. I don't even remember her name,
Happy Eddie, yes.
and how Chris was giving her some googly eyes and flirting. He wasn't even looking at her. So
No.
Giselle saying that, and then all these other things, like, as evidence that he's a sneaky link or doing these inappropriate things, of course it
Yeah.
destroys his reputation. They made it seem that way, which kind of upset me on the Bravo end.
It really bothered me, because, like, I am a strong believer that you need to believe women. But the way in which Giselle manipulated that storyline, and then the way the production, produced the show, was not right. And
Mhm.
I think it was very unfortunate the way in which they treated Chris. And so far, I think I'm, what, 4 episodes deep into the new season. I haven't seen Chris. And I can understand why he wouldn't want to appear. Maybe he does later on, but yeah, no, that's like insane on so many levels, because he's a father, he's a husband. And we do see, or we hear Candace mention in the new season how it did affect their relationship. So speaking of Candace, I'm gonna go ahead and discuss her season. So, as usual, Candace and her little triangle napkins, they were ready shedding tears for just a random things throughout the season, because that is what Candace does. So her storyline centered around how busy she was with her music, and then of course the drama with Giselle. Despite repeatedly having issues with Ashley throughout the series, they came together to defend Wendy when the drama with Mia went down in Miami, which we'll discuss later. She's definitely the one housewife who defends her husband so fiercely. So when the drama with Giselle happened, of course she had a meltdown. She went to a producer and basically tried to get him to do something about it, and he was just like, nope. She refused to engage with Giselle for most of the season, and then Ashley came to her to tell her that Chris had DM'd her in the middle of the night about going to a restaurant at a hotel. Candace was done. She felt that they were all trying to malign her husband for unknown reasons, or maybe just to have a storyline. We later find out where there's a correlation with all of this and Robin and Juan Dixon. So the season ended with her music video premiere party, where Chris nearly exploded because of Ashley trying to confront him over the issues and his lack of apology to Giselle, who, by the way, attended the party for some unknown reason, maybe just wanting screen time. I don't understand why she was invited. Honestly, that was a little weird to me. Aside from just, making it be an explosive season finale. It wouldn't have been that way had she not been there,
I mean, sometimes you think that Candace is like, she's learned her lessons from the Monique
Oh,
era,
girl.
and then, she's doing great, very sophisticated, top tier language, vocabulary. And then that girl, that mouth, and the things that she says, it's lethal. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't, I
Yeah.
want to root for you, but you just make it so hard. Like during the reunion, they started talking about colorism.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, okay, that's a great discussion because Potomac is known for, the colorism of it all, and how some
Shoot.
might have more privilege than others. So that was a great conversation to have. And then, she was pretty eloquent. She said her thoughts. 3 seconds later, she calls Giselle, you white, blah, 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 white looking thing.
Right.
I'm like, Candace, we just had this conversation 5 minutes ago. Like, why?
Right. White passing privilege at.
I'm
Okay.
like, that just defeated the whole purpose. And it sucks that the audience had to see that
Yeah.
kind of thing. With Ashley, she's very touch and go with Ashley. They're just like sister. They just need to get along at this point.
You know.
I'm like, they kiss and make up all the time. I think it's, that's what they do.
Yeah.
With Giselle, I think that she had a right to be mad.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
She called
Like,
him a right neck, a right ankles. That was so funny.
listen, Candace has a very lethal tongue, but also very funny little like remarks and funny nicknames for people. A little mean, but it frustrates me seeing how low she can go with some of her comments. Because she does have like such an eloquent way about her sometimes, and she can definitely be one of those, kind of like sophisticated ladies or whatnot, but then she shows her immaturity in
Yeah,
such a nasty fashion, and it's just like, girl, I was rooting for you.
I know. Shannon Sharp said when they go low, he goes to the basement. I think Candace, she just goes to the sewer. Like, I don't know. She goes so low that it hurts. I'm like, why did you do that? Like,
Yes.
great for TV.
Oh
But
yeah, no, amazing.
I'm like, you're a solid 30 something. You should be a little more mature. At least she's not crying every episode.
No, I was
And
surprised.
pro-
But still, it was so frustrating, and especially because, like, again, like, her marriage, her relationship was like under attack for a lot of the season, it's understandable that she would be upset, but it's like, don't give them more ammo,
Mhm.
to like come for you, because a lot of the time, people make all of these like speculations and everything based on your behavior, based on the things you say and do or whatever. And sometimes she is very over the top. And that just, makes it hard to really like stick by her. And so unfortunately her husband Chris was like collateral damage in this whole situation. He really he really didn't do anything, that was so terrible. But I don't even know. Let's go on to the next housewife who is trying not to be a housewife, but then she still is. Ashley Darby, ma'am, she spent yet another season stirring the pot and gaslighting people. It is her specialty. It really is. Her primary storyline centered around her divorce from Michael, which is not finalized, and we later find out it has not happened. Um, so we also find out at the reunion months later that she's not really getting much of anything in the divorce other than child support. She played herself. Also in the season, Ashley's trying to buy a house with Michael. That's right. They're separated.
Oh
She's
my God.
house she is going to be moving into with her kids. The ladies all try to advise her against it. She even speaks with a divorce attorney who also advises against it. But naturally, Ashley only listens to Michael. When asked why they're divorcing, she admits that she's not interested in the lifestyle anymore. What lifestyle is that? Three sons that Michael kept wanting. I have so many issues with Ashley. I don't even know. So many issues.
I really think she's the queen bee of stirring the pot, even
She
more
is.
so than Giselle. When I don't know what season it was when she went to, was it the Mia event? They went to, like, I think some beach house. I think she
Uh-huh.
had just given birth, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I think she was like, breastfeeding or milking herself. Like, I don't even know what,
Yeah.
feeding, milking herself, whatever. She came, dropped some cheese, stirred up the whole pot, and went home. And
Yep.
she really did that.
Yep.
I think she's worse than Giselle, to be honest.
She is. Because you know what? You know that Giselle ain't ish. You know that she don't care. Ashley, no, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
Did did I do that? I'm so sorry. No, 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 no. And I'm just like, girl, what? Yes, you knew. Like, what? Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. Most of the time I watch these episodes, all I do is scream at the TV. There's no other show that gets me screaming at the TV the way Potomac does, because these ladies drive me insane. And Ashley frustrates me the most because it's like you become my favorite for 2 seconds, and then it's like,
Yeah.
dang it, here we go again, girl. And I just can't. I can't do it.
But I will say, just to talk about both of them really quick, Candace and Ashley, I did like the way that they stood up for Wendy.
Yes.
I'm like, that is
Yeah.
the only great thing that they agreed on and, stuck to their guns, because the way,
Yes.
we'll talk about it later probably, the way Mia and the rest of them treated her was unacceptable.
Yeah.
So
That
I can appreciate them, you know.
sticking up for her. And
Mhm.
that's another thing that frustrates me is that I feel like Candace and Ashley have a lot of similarities. And yeah,
She brought
like
her to the show. I don't
let's
understand.
be friends already. Like, mind you though, we find out in the beginning of season 8 that Ashley's maybe soon to be ex-husband is actually suing Candace. So I don't know how much of a friendship you can have there. But what do you think about her whole situation with Michael?
I, I have no thoughts. I think
Wow.
allegedly, maybe, perhaps, I don't know. I think that she was a gold digger trying to, come
18?
up, have some babies. divorced a little later. I don't know if she really loved him. Maybe it was fun
Right.
with the threesomes and stuff. And she does go to the therapist and say, that's not something I want to do anymore. Mia did bring up during the season or during the reunion. It's like, well, we started off having threesomes. You got to continue having threesomes. Like that's what he's used to, kind of thing. And I was like,
Hmm.
food for thought. I got to really think about it. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think she was just trying to have a good time. I remember going through her Instagram, years ago when Potomac started, and her and Michael were always traveling and doing things.
Yeah,
Of course,
I
so
remember
they were,
that.
having this lifestyle. So now she's a mom of two kids, two little kids. Of
Yep.
course,
Wonder
that's not probably her main priority. But Michael hasn't changed.
Yeah. And that's an unfortunate thing for women
Mhm.
because it's they're the ones who are the primary caregiver. Like, no
Yeah.
matter what, even if you are with your husband, with the father of your children, the woman, the mother is still the primary caregiver. The woman is still the one that has to deal with all of the issues that come from postpartum, all of the issues that come from now you have, a primary responsibility outside of your husband. And it's hard to realign, right, with what your relationship is supposed to be, especially if your husband is not necessarily, you know, all that helpful or is pushing for things that you're not interested in, at this time. Maybe, it could have been something that she could have gone back to, but it wasn't.
Mhm.
So I don't really understand what the situation is, with Michael. I'm assuming that while they're still married, she gets something out of it,
Mhm.
kind of like Britney Spears' soon to be ex-husband, who is trying to hold off on the divorce. Watch that video. Um, so I don't know, but I don't like it. I really don't like it.
Yeah. Mike, he's creepy to me. He's a little.
Very cringy.
Mhm.
But going back to what you mentioned, the way that her and Candace stood up for Wendy. So that was definitely like one of the like best moments I would say for both of them. Now the reason, they had to stand up for her, we'll discuss here in a second. So Wendy Osefo storyline, um, it was weak to say the least. After releasing a candle line in prior seasons, she now wants to do a Nigerian bar, restaurant, lounge. For this, she meets with Peter Thomas, who I believe was married to another housewife from another franchise
And
or
like
another city.
Cynthia. Mhm.
Okay. And he tells her he can partner with her and what the cost would be. Wendy realizes that it is a lot of money and needs to discuss with her husband. Speaking of Eddie, he thinks
Happy Eddie.
Wendy, happy Eddie, he thinks Wendy has too much on her plate. We later see how correct Eddie was when Wendy put off taking care of her health issue until she ended up having to be hospitalized for kidney stones. Thankfully, she was okay. She wasn't okay, however, during the ladies' Miami trip organized by Mia Thornton. Essentially, after having it out, night one of the trip, Wendy was ousted from the house Mia had rented and not allowed to partake in any of the rest of the trip activities. Karen, Ashley, and Candace were the only ones who had Wendy's back and wanted to spend time with her. Ashley ended up going against Mia's wishes and invited Wendy to the last dinner they were all having. Not sure why Wendy kept trying to be a part of the whole group, where half of them didn't really want her there. The only storyline she had early on centered around her argument with Robin over comments made about Mia's health issues. Wendy was excluded when Robin invited the ladies and their kids to a family day. Once again, I guess really the overall arching theme, arching theme for Wendy is she just kept being excluded throughout the season, which was dumb.
I think she's just had it rough since she started.
Yeah.
And we've seen this huge transformation in Wendy, which I particularly, I mean, this is just me, don't like.
Yeah.
She came in, she was like, I'm Professor Wendy. I have
Dr.
78
Wendy.
degrees. I am this, I'm multi hyphenate. I don't know if she says this in that season or season 8, I'm
Uh-huh.
looking them up now. She's like, I'm multi-hyphenate. I'm a mom, I'm a businesswoman, I'm a professor, I'm a CNN analyst or a political
Political
pundit
pundit. Hmm.
kind of thing. First of all, I don't feel like she fits in just based, resume alone. I don't
Hmm.
know how being in Housewives and all this drama and all this nonsense, how that translates into her professional career.
Really?
If she was my professor, I'll be like, bruh, I just saw you. I got a little hood right now. I'm like, bruh, oh, girl, I just saw you. I don't know, in a bikini, in a thong, in a
Showing the new ones,
yeah, whatever they're called. You were twirling on some pole. You
Ooh,
wearing less and less clothes. I'm not trying to shame anybody. You can dress however you want or get enhancements. But we see this huge transformation in her. And I think it's because the ladies don't like her. And I'm
yeah,
not sure why she's trying to fit in.
yeah.
I don't get it. I think they don't like her because how intelligent she is, but I also think it's a colorism thing as well.
Yeah. So I feel like, Wendy probably read a lot of the comments, read a lot of the blogs after her first season, and the negativity surrounding, just maybe being a little bit elitist, maybe, being a little bit this or that and not enough like the other ladies or, like the way she looked or whatnot. And that's unfortunate if that is the case, if she really did, feed into any of that
Hmm.
or was influenced because of that. And it's also unfortunate that, the ladies are also not exactly the most welcoming or the most, um I guess.
Or like that. They did that to Monique when she
Yeah.
came in. I think, kind of braggadocious. I have two
Yeah.
houses and Chris did this. I forgot what he was. Was he a football player?
Football player.
I think every time they try to introduce somebody, we immediately see Giselle. How is she behaving? And then
Mhm.
everybody else kind of falls in line, whether they
Yeah.
like her or not. So,
Yeah. And then, at this point now, we know that the OG crew is Karen Huger, Giselle Bryant, Robin Dixon, and Ashley Darby. What
yeah.
do they all have in common? They are very light-skinned women,
Mhm.
black women, who continuously, seem to have the most airtime, the most screen time. Um, and some way, somehow are involved in almost all of the storylines. Candace, I think, she does like get a good amount of screen time, but usually she's painted in a way. I know that we discussed it earlier. She can be a little bit immature, but she's kind of also painted in a way that makes her seem like just very like neurotic or very problematic. And it's like,
Mhm.
no, she's also a highly intelligent woman who is just knows her stuff, and like, she knows what she's about, what she's not about, what she likes, what she doesn't like. And I feel like Wendy's very similar to that, and has, a lot of that same sort of like mentality. And I think that's intimidating for the other ladies
For sure.
because they're not so easy to tear down, like these are two women who have come a long way. Candace, I believe, did some sort of internship at one point under Barack Obama, or when he was, I think, a junior senator, if I'm not mistaken. And Wendy's Dr. Wendy. Like, yeah, she has a ton of degrees. Is she a little condescending? Is she a little elitist? Yeah. But still, like, the way that they are treated, I think, is definitely very different compared to the other ladies. And it's unfortunate that Wendy continues to want to be a part of this group that doesn't really do much to include her.
Hmm.
And I don't understand why she cares to be a part of them. Um and then also, like, I didn't like the way that they made it seem like, it was this sort of situation where she was like the one kind of leaving Peter Thomas hanging, when we find out later on that she says she did respond to some of the emails and they just never got back to her.
Hmm.
Whether that's true or not, I mean, still, like, they try to paint her into this sort of light of like, oh, she just kind of got scared, or she was like a coward or whatever. How dare she show up at Peter Thomas's restaurant? Like, it was just very weird the way that they handled her storylines this season. And yeah, I don't know, I don't really care for that. I love her family. Her family's so cute. Like the way they tried to like paint Eddie as some kind of also little like philanderer, flirtatious, person, happy Eddie. Like
I
that
know
man,
they laughed about it. They're like,
I love their reaction. And that to me shows a strong marriage, a strong relationship and foundation that they clearly aren't shaken by some of these things. But it goes to the point, like same thing, they're an amazing family, but they're not highlighted in that way.
hmm.
Uh Instead, it continues to be showing Robin and her husband who doesn't seem to love her. And then you have like, issues where like Giselle does go but doesn't go back with Jamal, or then she's dating somebody else but she won't talk about it. Then some dude from the past came into her life again briefly, but she ain't really talked to him much. Then you had Mia and her husband, which is sometimes also a little strange. Like I feel like Wendy and Eddie have like a very normal, or at least seemingly normal, relatable, family life. And I don't know. I don't think that there's really much focus or emphasis on that. And I think that is in part because maybe she's not, maybe she's not like one of the most favored housewives, right? Like if Bravo does some sort of polling, I'm assuming that she's probably not high up in those polls, and it probably has a lot to do with, colorism. I think that definitely plays a role, and it's unfortunate because I think she's, she can be a pretty awesome person.
I mean, I do like when she goes in on the ladies because she goes to the basement, and I'm like, oh, that is so witty. Like they
That's
don't
true.
even have rebuttals to her comebacks. Like
What can you say?
not, and I love that for her. I love that for me. Like I wish I was there watching it. Like even Mia, she's quick, quick with it, but not. She can't handle Wendy.
No, no.
But I feel like Wendy is such a not, or I think she's such a nice person, but they
Yeah,
just keep, poking the bear, and she's
yeah.
serving
And as she should.
as she should.
Okay, last housewife, y'all. Mia Thornton.
Mm.
Ugh. Her initial and primary storyline centered around her health issues, where it was possible that she may have had cancer. Thankfully, that wasn't the case, but the ladies sure did question what was really going on with her.
Mhm.
Despite them not talking or not taking her issues all that serious, Mia still invited them all to Miami for whatever reason. Miami turned into a chaos with the fight that happened between Mia and Wendy almost immediately. Basically Mia accused Wendy of mingling with Peter Thomas, like, and by mingling I mean sleeping together. And Wendy,
Say entanglement. That's our
entang-
word now.
entanglement. Yeah, you're right. And then Wendy throwing it back in her face that she and her husband are the ones that invite others into their bed.
Mm.
Mia threw a drink on Wendy, and for whatever reason, Wendy was the one that was ousted despite not doing anything to Mia physically. On the same trip, Mia had her best friend Jacqueline, who she apparently showers with. Her best friend would later join them on another trip, and during that trip, Mia and Jacqueline practically end their decades long friendship after a blowout fight where they said some pretty nasty things to one another, and we later see in the reunion that they are still not friends. I can't even tell you where that fight started at all.
I think they were like, I feel like they were sitting somewhere, and then I think Jacqueline said something, in regards to being mean or so. Oh, it looks like she needs some more, in her life.
Oh, I did not. Oh, really? I didn't remember
They,
that.
I don't know when exactly it happened, but I remember they were like in a table somewhere. I
Uh
was like,
huh.
and then Mia's like, "Well, you should stop sleeping with married men," and then that's when it like, you know,
OMG.
I think that's when it started. But if Mia is that kind of friend, that I don't, she treated her friend like shit.
That
when
was
the
horrible.
housewives say, go make up with your friend, there's a problem. And they were all in agreement. Go make up with your friend.
If the messiest of the messiest are telling you this too much, that's a problem. Like, that's a real problem. Okay. So, okay, Mia, same thing. Sometimes I really want to love her, but then she says and does some things where I'm just like, I'm gonna take that back. I can't, like, she's a little special. Um, I'm glad that she's honest and owns up to her past and present.
Yeah, I guess that's refreshing. I
Right.
don't know what that. Oh,
Right. And I think it's unfortunate that like they kind of made light of her health scare. Like it's a very real thing, to like be dealing with health issues and not really
he
knowing.
was a little vague with it.
She, of course she was, but she also didn't know. She didn't really know what was going on.
Oh, Mia likes attention. I gotta
Oh,
give it
yeah.
to what Ashley,
Yeah.
I think, said
Yeah.
because it was like, let's get some clarity. It was the whole season and she didn't know what it was. Which, granted, it happens. I get it.
Right.
But no, it was. Mm-mm,
But
mm-mm.
Giselle talking about this what cancer looked like? Ma'am.
When she said that, my jaw literally dropped. I'm like, Giselle, no filter
You know
whatsoever.
You know how you just mentioned Candace, like you're in your 30s, da 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 da. Giselle, you are in your 50s, ma'am. Some decorum, you just a tiny bit, please.
I know that one.
This is what cancer
That's for the
looks
book.
like.
For the books.
She's wait, it was this what cancer? No cancer looks like. I was like, I can't.
I know.
I, okay, all right. So the reunion, y'all know it's like usually 2-3 parts. Essentially no real resolution came to pass on any fronts during the several parts of the reunion. Mia and Wendy are still at odds. Clearly, Mia and Jacqueline are still at odds. Candace dragged Giselle, as he mentioned earlier. And although Giselle did apologize for accusing Chris of being a sneaky link, the damage was done. Karen kept denying the cheating rumors and gossip. Ashley gets nothing in the divorce so far. And Robin still doesn't have Juan show up for her at the reunion.
Ugh.
Year number, I don't know what at this point. Yeah.
I have nothing. This season was atrocious, but I watched every single episode.
I mean, yeah.
Every single that Miami trip, I was like, what is going on? And it was like 4 episodes long, I think.
Or, yeah.
And I'm like, I just didn't understand how it escalated. So how do you get kicked out the first night within 3 minutes of being there?
And then on top of that, like they freaking, throw Wendy into Homestead, and if you from Florida, you know what I'm talking about. Like they literally send her to Homestead and don't want nothing to do with her. And then, but Karen, they're trying to celebrate Karen's birthday, but Karen's like, I want to celebrate my birthday with Wendy, and then they take off and go to some rinky dink.
Oh, they went to like Versailles.
Is that where they went?
I don't think it was La Carreta. They went to Versailles. And like,
No way. It looks so ancient. Like,
well, it is ancient. It's
I
been
mean,
here
I
for
know Versailles is ancient, but dang. Anyway, they went to some restaurant and it was who? Karen, Ashley, Candace. They met up with Wendy, and then like on some random thing, a group of the girls went in one activity, then another group went another one, and they invited Wendy, but Robin was there, and Robin, already was having her issues with Wendy. It was so awkward. And then there was that weird exchange with Karen and Mia when she was driving like a Ferrari or whatever she was driving, and she was making some real awkward comments. I was just like, girl, I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, we
Please
didn't even talk about that club where they supposedly were showing each other their body parts. I'm like, how are y'all
was
frenemies? How y'all enemies and then friends? and frenemies. Like
That was gonna be my final thought.
I don't understand these relationships. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't want no parts of it. Like I wanted to be a Real Housewife of Potomac just for the drams, but I feel like I would probably go to jail if
It's
I was there. So I'm glad I'm not a part of it because all this whiplash, we're friends, we're not friends, you're dissing me, you're loving me. I can't. I cannot.
okay. So that's my final thought. I didn't really like that they kept talking about these after hours, little get-togethers that the ladies would have, whether they'd be at a club, a bar, whatever, and then you'd hear about it the next day that they had been drinking all night together, getting drunk together, and some of them showing each other their lady parts and, dancing and rubbing and touching and stuff. And Candace and Ashley hate each other, but while they're drunk, they love each other. And then Robin and Wendy were loving each other while they were drunk. But then Candace went off on Robin, I think, at one point because of the whole comment that Candace had made about how she didn't trust any of them. And then, but Candace was the one who was like, well, I mean, Robin was the one standing up for Chris. So Candace had to get over that. And it was weird. And I really didn't like that because it just makes the show feel that much more fake. And it makes it feel that much more like, not sketch, but like it's just like an act, it's literally all like,
I've really wondered if it's an act at this point. I'm like, because if you have to keep up this beef,
yeah.
like I feel like it's hard at some point to like turn it on
Yeah.
and off. Like I can't tell
Unless you're
the
a good actor.
authenticity. No, they're not that great. I can't tell the authenticity of the beef or like what's
Yeah.
really going on. I'm like, if I don't like you, I'm not gonna go to the club with you. I'm not gonna sit next to you. Shit, I might not even be on the show because that's how much I can't tolerate you. But then here they are, they're trying to be friends, they're trying to talk, they're gossiping about each other. I think they just like being in this environment and I don't understand why.
It's
But I'm
toxic.
still gonna watch it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. It's interesting you say, you wouldn't go to a club and anything, with these people you don't like. But I'm remembering my own history. And I've been to clubs in the past where like other people that I don't like have been there because my friends are so friendly that they have people there that I don't like. And
Well,
I I do the best that I can because they always tell me to behave, so I behave. Um so in that regard I can understand faking the funk, whatever, but the moment you get drunk, you can't fake the funk, ma'am. So I know I didn't at any point say to anyone I did not like, "Oh, I love you." No, definitely not. So these women and what they're doing, that's why it makes like the actual show itself feel so staged, because here they are, these after hour things where they're not really being recorded, doing these like outlandish things like if they were all the best of friends. So yeah, like it's very confusing. And then we also know, because sometimes it's brought up throughout the show, how they interact with one another or against one another on social media. And that's another thing that I'm just like confused by. It's like, wait, what? I
yeah.
don't understand. So anyway, that was season 7, y'all. I know this is a long one, but listen, when it comes to the Potomac housewives, we always have a lot to say. I know we
Uh,
usually have Kardashians too, but these ladies take the cake. They
guys,
take the cake.
just imagine our phone conversations. We probably had this conversation. It was twice as long, and we had to condense it. And this is an hour. Like, we can
Yeah.
go on for hours. I know, but you
Yeah.
love us, so you're gonna listen to every single minute of it. So we appreciate you guys. But that concludes today's episode. Let us know what you think in the comments about season 7.
Yeah.
Clearly, it was a cluster.
Oh my God.
Please let us know your favorite housewife. What do we think about all the crap that happened?
I
We're,
know.
we're, we're interested to know at
Yeah.
this. And are you looking forward to season 8? Because that is a cluster so far.
Have you started it? And is it a cluster for you too, like it is for us?
I know. I'm 4 episodes in and I can't believe what I'm watching.
Same. Same.
All right, guys. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Also, please share our video. We're trying to have 1,000 subscribers. Can you believe
I
it?
know.
Thank you guys for all who have subscribed and for
Yeah.
all who have shared. You know, your friends could be our friends. We could all be friends. We could chit chat. We could diss people. We could rank on them. You know, we could love them. What? That's what we do best, okay? We have opinions and we have to give it to the internets. We also have social media, which Steve will tell you about.
We're on TikTok and Instagram at Hear Me Out DNE. So make sure you guys also follow our socials and you like, comment, share, do all the stuff that people do on social media. I'm not really all that like savvy when it comes to the TikTok stuff, but I know that like people do the stitching. You could do that too. Like whatever it is. But no, we really are grateful for, our growing community and thank you guys for, sticking with us so far.
All right. So up next is season 8 trailer. Stay tuned for that. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.